Let's move on. Chris, would you prefer to talk about Salt Lake City or Beverly Hills next?
Actually, let's talk about Beverly Hills.
Yeah, let's get into it. What were your highlights there?
So first and foremost, I almost shit myself laughing at Sutton being like, "Name it," right out of the gate, when she's like, "Name it," and then which one was it? Kyle was just like, "Okay," and then as she's trying to do like and name it, she would interrupt her and go and be like, "Name it." Name it, name it. And she's like, "Bitch, I'm trying." That had me dying. That was so, their whole beef was really funny. Garcelle, like when she was with her kids, that was really cute because it was just like, I don't know, like it's really easy, since a lot of these people on these shows, it's really easy to think that they're just like these mean people or anything like that. But like watching that was kind of sweet because it's like for the housewives that are moms, where it's just like seeing them have those moments with their children, it's just like, oh, this is like, that's right, like y'all are people, and like,
yeah,
you're a parent, like you're a mom and all that. And it's just kind of, it helps like humanize them a little bit. But then when she was just like, sometimes people think that Jade is like more like a boyfriend than my son, and I was just like, that's not how you word that. That's not how you word that. I get what you're trying to say, because y'all have more of like a buddy dynamic than you do mother and son, but like, out of all of the words
yeah,
in the English language. Also, shout out, I didn't realize Garcelle, I didn't realize that she was from the Jamie Foxx show. So for the longest time, when they premiered her movie, I was like, that's really cute that they're gonna let her act on Lifetime. And then a homie of mine was like, how dare you, like she's already famous. And then I googled her, I'm like, oh shit, all right, my bad, like I'm disrespectful. Another highlight for me was just Sutton just randomly knowing Jennifer Tilly. Like she appeared on the screen and I was like, what the fuck, Jennifer Tilly? Like the Jennifer Tilly? And then
yeah, they're best friends apparently. We found that out this season.
Random as hell. I went on a random Wikipedia binge on Jennifer Tilly. Didn't know that she got super into playing poker and like,
oh yeah, she's amazing at poker. And
like was a professional poker player for a while. So shout out to her. Another highlight was Erika trying. Oh, so first and foremost, when Erika's mom comes and just clearly, they even had the timer of how long they've been together and how long they could last. And then that fucking weird ass plastic Barbie suit that she was wearing.
Yeah, in the confessionals.
Did y'all notice that?
Yeah.
That was, I remember I was like watching it and I saw it and I had to rewind it because I was like, no. You can't just introduce that outfit and then move on. That was pretty wild. And then also shout out I didn't know Denise Richards used to be a cast member of the show.
Yeah.
But she was a surprise. That was a nice surprise to see, of like, oh shit, Denise Richards showing up.
Yeah. And then we got a crazy clip in the stinger at the end of the show that was previewing next week, where Denise is making the wildest faces I have ever seen at the table. Looks like it's going to be just like an all-time episode with, Sutton versus Kyle going down, and we've got Denise like acting completely out of her mind at the table, and Camille is there too. So one of the all-time greats.
Ooh.
I want to go back to what you said about this Kyle Sutton scene, because like we got the extended version of this like name 'em thing that Sutton was doing in the previous episode, and to have it just like continue into this week. It was like she had been doing just name 'em all week until the episode picked up. I thought it was amazing. And then we got a highlight reel of Sutton like being pretty iconic, like, flipping out on Crystal in Crystal's first season over the like ugly leather pants and the roller scene and stuff like that. I just really loved this scene. I was glad that it, since we didn't have a show last week, that we were able to like revisit this and talk about it. But yeah, Garcelle's movie, holy shit. You would not know that she like made a name for herself in acting from watching these clips. Like
if you would have told me that, like, first and foremost, when it said that it was on Lifetime, I was like, okay, tracks. But like, honestly, I find it more believable if that movie would have been on Tubi, because that screamed some like Tubi got a better budget than usual, but like still it's a Tubi movie, so like it's still low quality. It was, and I understand they can't show the whole movies, and like it was clear that they were purposely not trying to show spoilers and shit like that.
Yeah.
But and so they had to like cut it up together to kind of show you the highlights, but it was just still very much like student film.
Yeah.
Feeling.
Yeah, that's being generous. Like the clips
oh
they
yeah,
chose.
not like Juilliard student film, like not US, like, which is actually funny because like USC is right there. You could have had way better help with a student film, and it felt very much like it was like local, like Midwest local state film competition.
Yeah, like a high school English project level acting.
Yeah, like someone's dad has access to a red camera, so they had a higher quality video, but the acting and writing was the same. And then when she kicked the perpetrator, and then the housewife was like, Garcelle seems like this innocent person, but if you do her wrong, she's gonna kick you in the stomach. Just all right. I don't think that does as much damage as you think it does.
Sandy, what were your highlights from Beverly Hills?
I guess other than the Garcelle comparing her son to her boyfriend, I definitely noted. And otherwise, Erika and her mom was kind of interesting. I am liking the sort of mom-daughter themes we're seeing in a lot of these franchises right now. That's kind of across the board. They're pretty interesting seeing those dynamics. You kind of learn more about these characters, some of whom you know pretty well. I was kind of sad for Erika to learn her house is like a 1-bedroom house, because I know she's poor now, but that's tough, man. 1 bedroom, sleeping in the same bed as your mom when she visits. I like their fight.
Yeah.
And I want to mention when we get to Salt Lake City, kind of looking at the discrepancy with some of the housewives' socioeconomic status these days, and how that looks for the show. But yeah, Erika and her mom, they were talking about this argument where they weren't talking for a year because Erika's like, after you hung up on me. And mom's like, no, you hung up on me. She's like, right, I hung up on you because you were being shitty to me. But what was that about? Because it was some sort of thing that Erika was trying to like get her mom to legit stop talking about on camera. It was like, her mom said, how many times did you ever go to that farm in 20 years? 3? So do we know what that's about?
Yeah, it was about...
I didn't look it up or anything.
I think it was about Tom Girardi. Something like, it was a line of questioning about Tom Girardi, who is now facing charges for like taking money from victims that he represented. But yeah, it was clearly like she stopped talking to her mom because her mom was probing about Tom. And like, yeah, Erika obviously knew way more than she is saying she did, and so she was trying to shut that shit down. And then her mom brought it up again in front of the cameras, and Erika shuts it down again. Like, I don't know. One of the things that I really love about this season of Beverly Hills so far, and this is a season of Housewives that I was not really looking forward to going into it, but I find that Erika is on just a really compelling phase of her journey. Like, we got the first like 3 seasons or so of Erika where she was like at the top. She's going on world tours in her pop career. She's in the biggest house on the cast. She's got like, the rich husband. Everything is there, and we have seen her just like fall and like just spiral and just like grasping at any like hold that she can. And it's really compelling to me to see all these pieces of her getting like stripped away, and like to see kind of what is left. And how she is trying to rebuild. Erika isn't one of my like favorite housewives, but her story is a great one, and for me, it's a very like compelling thing to watch this season. I think the dynamic with her mom, all the scenes that we got there, they were short and like comical, but there was a subtext there that I thought really added a lot to Erika's journey as a character within the narrative of Beverly Hills.
So is she poor now because of the divorce, or did some other shit happen?
Yeah, so her husband is like Tom Girardi, who is like the Aaron Brockovich lawyer, and he embezzled like a ton, like millions and millions of dollars from like victims that he represented. It was supposed to go to them, and he stole it and kept it and didn't pay them, and so he's facing like federal charges, and it was like a huge scandal, and so all of their money is tied up in this, and he is now like I think pretending to be completely senile to try to like get out of these charges, and they're estranged. And yeah, she went from having like a ton of money to having like nothing. Like her earrings were taken from her, and she's basically starting from nothing.
Okay, that's what oh, that's what this dude looks like. God damn. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. All right. I was picturing way younger, and are we sure he's pretending to be senile? Because he looks very senile in this Google image I'm seeing. Okay, this man looks like he was born when they invented money. Okay. Got it. Okay. Well, you know what? It's not about looks.
Yeah.
It's about money, and she lost all of that.
Some people have a type, and some people's type is the type that gets visited by 3 ghosts on Christmas. That's
some people have a type, and hers is hospice, apparently. Also, Erika kept distracting me because she looked like a Kmart Jane Krakowski.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that.
There's definitely. I'm not saying white women look like, but it just there was like a couple moments where like she even kind of spoke like Jane's character from 30 Rock. Yeah. So that's what I'm not just saying. Oh, they're both white. They're both blonde. They look alike. But yeah, outside of that, okay, that makes sense. Because I was wondering, I was like, oh, like I knew based off of conversations, okay, she was divorced, but I didn't think the divorce was going to hurt her that bad, where she was like in a 1-bedroom, which was so funny that she's just like, oh my God, I'm like so poor. I'm in a 1-bedroom. Like, girl, you're not sharing a studio with 4 homies of yours. Like, I think like, yeah, I know you're going through a lot, but like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I loved like her mom kind of like getting a sense of how dire the situation is, that Erika can only afford to have the cleaner come once a week as opposed to every day. Like she's like, oh, I didn't know I had to start the dishwasher. I thought you had someone that did that.
That shit was so. Why'd you not clean your dish? Well, where's your maid? I can only afford them once a week. Also, that's how it's so funny how like we like rich people will make fun of each other because the shit like that of just like, oh, Janet's maid only comes twice a week, and it's just like, I wish I could have a maid come once a week. I don't have.
You
that
ever
in
notice
my
she only invites people over on a Tuesday or Thursday? Yeah, Sandy, did you have any other highlights from Beverly Hills?
No, I think I'm good. Though I have to say, like, I don't know. I was like, wow, Erika is really roughing it. And I believe me, guys, I'm not, I don't have a maid any day of the week, but I feel like at some point in my life, I could get a cleaning service in once a week. Like that's like a realistic goal in my lifetime. And so that makes me see how far she has fallen. So I don't know. Depends how you look at it. But
probably one of those things, it's cheaper than you think. Like, I feel like it's probably one of those things where it's cheaper than you think, but it's still not like the average person isn't going to be like, all right, let's get a cleaning person.
It's also not like a maid. It's a cleaning service. They're not like bringing you your tea or what. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a butler.
Yeah, like a butler,
you know. So I don't know. I feel like if you're someone who's now asleep, like I don't know. I just think she's fallen far. She's fallen far, and she has to sleep in a bed with her mom. And I guess I have a little sympathy for her. What can I say? I don't know.
No, it's sad for her, but it's also just like,
yeah, she's not on the streets.
It makes me want to watch the show. Yeah, well, it just makes me want to watch the show more because she's going to have moments like that where it's just like, look at you being a peasant like the rest of us. Like, I know that's just eating her up inside.
It totally is. And you know what the craziest thing was? It was, and Craig, right, when this all happened, she clearly lost. She's got it back now. Like, I think she's spending all her money on her face and keeping it like up and fresh because whatever happened right when this all blew up, she could not maintain her like whatever weekly treatments was going on because she looked very different. Like, she aged like, I mean, we can't really talk about aging like with the stuff these people are doing. You can't even tell what age they might even look or normally look, but she looked different, like a normal person all of a sudden, a normal 52-year-old. It was kind of stunning to see the change. And now she's back, right, to her old self. So she's not doing a maid, but she's doing her.
She must be spending a lot of it. Yeah. I think we got her like the guy that did her glam. Is it Mikey or whatever? We saw him this season, but we didn't see him doing glam, I don't think. I think we saw him like having coffee with her, like, and he was billed as like friend of Erika as opposed to, you know, part of her like glam service. So it's definitely like a reduced amount of glam, but yeah, she is, I don't know, she's starting to glow back up.
I'm talking about more than glam though. Like, I'm talking about surgery, injection. I'm no expert on that, but it was absolutely not just makeup. It was like keeping the skin up or whatever it was. And I only comment on that. I don't usually do that, but just because it seemed like it was related to her income dropping, and it was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like she was the one where there was a lot of talk about her like being on Ozempic, or one of the notable like Ozempic housewives early on, that she was like, oh no, just hormones. It's just, you know, just hormones that are making me lose all this weight. But I thought like this season of Beverly Hills has been a real surprise for me. I think I said when we were previewing this season, I'm not really looking forward to this. And it's not, I've been surprised at how engaged I am with this, because I don't think that there's a lot of like, of the housewives that are really like bringing it in terms of like driving conflict or having like a lot of, there's not a lot of like tension between the housewives that are really, that's really interesting, aside from, you know, Kyle versus Sutton. That feels like the most classic like housewife type dynamic that we've got here in terms of like a season long conflict. And I think it seems like we were shaping up to having a little bit of that with Dorit and Garcelle, but it looks like that is being put to bed a little bit, although the rumors on social media say otherwise. But what's really interesting to me this season is just how much of like the personal stories we're getting, and how these characters are being like fleshed out in ways that are independent of the group, that I feel like we haven't got in past seasons, just because we've had like huge like forces to drive the conflict. Like Lisa Rinna was like an all-time great housewife. Like she's not like the most lovable housewife of all time. But she's an all-time great in terms of like being able to like really bring the drama and just like lean into that role. But with her absent, I think that we're seeing a lot more. There was a scene that we got with Crystal, which I thought was probably the most compelling scene of this episode for me, where she was there just over dinner talking with her like husband Rob, who was about her relationship with her brother. And we got to see like such a range of emotion from Crystal about this, where she was like embodying so many different roles. Like it started off with her, in her role as a mother, where she's like has this dynamic with her son. She's like giving him a little bit of a hard time about his hair being too long, and then she like kind of gets the kids to leave to go watch Back to the Future, and they have this like really raw discussion about her brother and kind of how she's very reluctant to admit the guilt that she feels over being like one of the core reasons why him and his fiance broke up. I really liked seeing her kind of deal with that in like a lot of different ways. She was like dealing with it kind of like subtly and kind of, she was then projecting some anger towards her husband, Rob, who was like reading her completely. And she like seemed a little unhappy about that. And, we got this FaceTime with her brother, who like had been crying and was then reluctant to like talk about it on camera. I just thought this was so interesting to see her personal story and deal with something that it seemed like truly personal and vulnerable, and we got to see so many dynamics at play. I thought that was really great. And Crystal has been someone that has been a little bit of a forgettable housewife up until now, and the fact that we're seeing more of this side of her, I'm really enjoying that from her, because I think like that type of like vulnerability and that like that story is like a really good fit for her as a character on this show.
So with that whole thing with Crystal, like first and foremost, the eight-year-old watching Back to the Future is wild, because I love Back to the Future. That's one of my favorite movies. But also like, yes, obviously that kid's gonna be too young to realize that there's a whole sexual assault scene in that movie. But aside from that, it also threw me off when she was talking about the ex-fiance, because they pull up a picture of her brother and the ex-fiance, and I don't know why, but I was so thrown off and unexpected by the fact that they blurred her face that I instantly busted out laughing, because I know it's because rights, like they didn't sign like a waiver, so like I understand it's that, but for a split second my brain believes that the reality was they blurred her face to be petty, and that was just so funny to me. But then it was like, shout out to her husband, who was like, maybe being a little too like inserting himself, but at the same time like was, in my personal opinion, doing like the right thing of like, hey, you need to talk about this with him, and like just basically like interjected on the call and was like, I honestly kind of did something that like I've basically done as a homie to friends, of like been like, hey, I know I'm not being like delicate, but like you need to come to terms with this thing, and I know if you put it off you're never going to, so let's do this shit now. And it just felt like her husband, you could tell that it was very good intention of like, you need to talk about this thing with your brother right now. And then it was just sad, like you could tell the brother was going through it and just like didn't really want to have to like cry on FaceTime on camera like that. but it was kind of a weirdly beautiful moment in this show that I just wasn't expecting to see. That I'm sure there's probably lots of beautiful moments like this, but like I just wasn't expecting that. So it was like that felt like out of everything I've seen on any of these franchises, that felt like the most human real thing that I could see on the show. So it was like kind of like it threw me off where I was like, oh wow, that was like an act, like that was like for real, for real. That was okay, cool. All right, okay, Beverly Hills. All right, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it's one of those like examples of like a scene where there's someone on camera that is like using the camera as a tool in order to like empower them to have like a real conversation, um, because they know that they can have this in front of the camera and like they will get a certain outcome. Like one person that we've seen do like use the camera as a tool really well is Ashley Darby. Like when we see scenes with her and Michael, she is like leveraging herself in front of the like she's leveraging like the position of the camera in order to have these conversations and like force a little bit of like accountability or like just to generate like some receipts that she can use at a later date. She's like really effective at doing that. I remember Brandy Redmond from Dallas doing that a few times with her husband, and I think that like it's surprising to see someone that is not a housewife do that because I can't remember anyone doing that. But I guess Rob is like, he's a director, so he kind of has a little bit of a intuition about that sort of thing too. But yeah, you brought up Crystal's kids going to see Back to the Future. It didn't register to me, but I was just like realizing that we got this scene right after the scene where Garcelle called her son more like a boyfriend, and that's a very similar dynamic to what we got in Back to the Future. So a little bit of a callback there.